A 60-pound rodent raises its massive tail and brings it crashing down like a thunderclap. This creature is about to reshape an entire landscape using nothing but instinct, determination, and an ancient blueprint encoded in its DNA. Meet nature's most skilled architect. For millions of years, beavers have been reshaping our planet's waterways, creating biodiversity hotspots worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and pioneering climate solutions that modern science is only beginning to understand. We'll uncover the secrets behind their engineering genius, witness their landscape-scale changes, and discover why these furry architects might hold the key to our planet's climate resilience. A beaver colony patriarch stands motionless beside a babbling brook. What you and I hear as peaceful flowing water triggers something primordial in the beaver's brain. That sound, the gentle gurgle of running water, is nature's alarm clock, awakening an engineering instinct so powerful it compels these creatures to plug every leak they encounter. This behavioral response isn't random. Beavers select sites strategically on low-gradient streams with less than 3% slope, where flow velocity becomes manageable. They're reading the landscape like master hydraulic engineers, calculating variables that would challenge human experts. A creature with no formal education constructs infrastructure that rivals million-dollar human projects. These master builders begin with locally sourced materials. Massive logs and sticks form their foundation, interwoven with smaller branches like nature's own rebar, then sealed with mud, rocks, and vegetation to create a composite structure that's both incredibly strong and remarkably adaptable. These beavers, with no engineering degrees or construction experience, instinctively integrate principles of physics, equilibrium, and hydraulic pressure that took humans millennia to understand. Watch as they anchor enormous logs into stream banks and beds, using the very force of rushing water to wedge their materials into place. The curved or angled shape of their dams isn't accidental. It's a masterclass in pressure distribution, spreading the immense force of impounded water across the entire structure to prevent catastrophic failure. A single dam creates a local pond, but a sequence of dams built by a colony over time initiates something far more dramatic: a complete landscape-scale change. This network doesn't just slow water, it restructures entire stream systems, creating cascading ponds and saturated floodplains. The quantitative threshold for this change occurs when the hydrological influence of these dams raises the water table across the entire valley floor, birthing a self-sustaining beaver meadow. A wetland complex whose cumulative effect far exceeds the sum of its individual parts. These beaver-engineered wetlands have become powerful engines of resilience, creating positive feedback loops that strengthen our planet's defense against floods and droughts. Here's how this climate resilience feedback loop works. First, dams slow water, creating ponds and wetlands. This slowed water drops sediment and recharges groundwater, raising the water table. That higher water table supports lush, water-loving riparian vegetation like willows and aspen, which happens to be prime beaver food and building material. With abundant resources, beavers expand and reinforce their dam networks, further slowing water and storing it in the landscape. This cycle turns entire valleys into giant sponges, absorbing water during floods and slowly releasing it during droughts. It's nature's own flood insurance policy, written in mud and timber. The climate benefits continue. These beaver ponds become highly effective carbon sinks. The slow-moving, low-oxygen water causes organic matter to accumulate as sediment instead of decomposing and releasing carbon dioxide. While these wetlands do produce methane, studies suggest that over centuries, the massive carbon sequestration benefit likely outweighs the warming effect of methane emissions. Step into a beaver-created wetland, and you've entered one of nature's most spectacular biodiversity hotspots. These aquatic sanctuaries provide critical habitat for countless species, from amphibians and fish to waterfowl and moose. During extreme heat and drought, these wetlands become climate refugia, cool, wet havens providing life-sustaining water and forage when surrounding landscapes turn barren. This supports species survival. These refugia aid the recovery of endangered species like the Oregon spotted frog and coho salmon, acting as genetic reservoirs that can repopulate devastated areas when conditions improve. The numbers will stagger you. The ecosystem services provided by beaver dam complexes, water storage, flood mitigation, water purification, and habitat creation would cost millions of dollars to replicate with concrete weirs, reservoirs, and water treatment plants. Current valuations estimate beaver ecosystem services at hundreds of millions of US dollars annually in the Northern Hemisphere alone. Approximately $133 million for habitat and biodiversity provision, and $75 million for greenhouse gas sequestration. Yet beaver infrastructure is completely self-maintaining, infinitely adaptable, and comes at zero direct cost to human society. While human-built infrastructure requires constant maintenance, eventual replacement, and enormous ongoing costs, beaver infrastructure repairs itself, adapts to changing conditions, and actually improves with age. Behind every great construction project lies teamwork, and beaver colonies exemplify this principle beautifully. These family units typically consist of a monogamous adult pair, yearlings, and young kids. Dam construction becomes a collaborative masterpiece, with experienced adults leading the charge while younger beavers learn through observation and participation. This social learning proves crucial for transmitting effective construction techniques across generations, allowing colonies to adapt their building styles to local conditions. It's nature's own apprenticeship program, ensuring that engineering knowledge passes from master builders to the next generation. Beavers are also fiercely territorial, using scent mounds made of mud and castoreum to mark their domains. This territorial behavior effectively spaces out colonies, preventing overexploitation of resources in any single area and ensuring a more distributed impact across watersheds. Recognizing the incredible power of these natural engineers, humans have begun partnering with beavers in new ways. Where beavers are absent or streams too degraded for colonization, we've developed beaver dam analogs, or BDAs. These low-tech, permeable structures made of wooden posts and woven branches mimic natural dams, kickstarting the same ecological processes while costing significantly less than traditional engineered solutions. BDAs slow water, trap sediment, and create suitable habitat to encourage the return of actual beavers, who can then assume long-term maintenance and expansion responsibilities. As we face an uncertain climate future, these master builders of the wild offer us something priceless. A proven, time-tested model for landscape resilience that's been refined over millions of years. From their strategic site selection and instinctive physics to their social learning networks and territorial spacing, beavers demonstrate that the most sophisticated engineering solutions often come not from human creation, but from understanding and partnering with nature's own architects. The comprehensive impact of beavers spans engineering, ecology, economics, social behavior, restoration, and climate resilience. Their dam-building activities create extensive wetlands, providing broad ecosystem services with significant positive feedback loops for climate adaptation. By understanding the multifaceted role of these remarkable creatures, we can better partner with them to restore watersheds, enhance biodiversity, and build the resilient landscapes our planet desperately needs. Perhaps our greatest infrastructure solutions will come from embracing the wisdom of a 60-pound rodent with an ancient blueprint and an unstoppable drive to build. The beavers have been waiting. The question is, are we ready to learn from the true master builders of the wild? Before we wrap up, let's address a question many of you are probably asking. If beavers are such incredible engineers, why don't we see them everywhere restoring damaged watersheds? The answer lies in history and habitat. North American beaver populations were nearly wiped out by the fur trade, dropping from an estimated 60 to 400 million beavers in the 1600s to just 100,000 by 1900. While populations have recovered to about 6 to 12 million today, many watersheds still lack the suitable habitat conditions beavers need. Appropriate stream gradients, adequate food sources, and sufficient water depth for their underwater lodge entrances. That's where beaver dam analogs come in. These human-built structures help jumpstart the process, creating the right conditions for beaver families to move in and take over the long-term engineering work. It's not about replacing beavers, it's about giving them the foundation they need to succeed.